Hello everyone, Chaos here, and welcome to another old school RuneScape video. Today, my revamped 1 to 99 prayer guide. This skill serves one simple function: unlock powerful buffs mostly for PvM that will aid you both offensively and defensively. Also, the higher your prayer level, the more prayer points you will restore with some potions. Prayer is incredibly simple, but traditionally expensive to train. We have a lot of methods we can use to get up to the higher levels, and you can even train it passively with a few items we will mention in a little bit. If you enjoyed today's video, I pray that you subscribe with notifications on, drop a fat like, and consider becoming a channel member for instant access to our Discord and other cool benefits and rewards. These are all the quests that provide prayer experience as of the time of making this video. Remember that some of them have a prayer level requirement, and you may not be able to do them right away. We will only be showcasing a few quests for the initial levels, but this is another skill where experience is gained so quickly if done efficiently that you may as well go straight to them. But if you don't want to waste a ton of money early, we will still take a look at them. And speaking of, here's a short list of quest and achievement diary suggestions that will let us train the skill in more ways than one. Just like some previous guides, these are not mandatory, but will increase variety by quite a bit. The very first one is Shades of Morton. This quest awards access to an activity called the Shades of Morton. This is the only way to gain profit while training prayer, and it's also a decent source of clue scrolls. Next we have a Kingdom Divided, and the upgraded Arceus spellbook is going to have a few spells to aid us in prayer training. This has been one of the few updates to the skill in a long time, and it provides more variety for you to gain experience. At the time of making this video, Jagex is still working on Desert Treasure 2. After the continuation to one of RuneScape's most iconic quests, you will have access to the Ruinous Powers, a new prayer book with better offensive prayers to use. When it comes to achievement diaries, the Hard and Elite Mauritania diary will do two things: increase prayer and the fire-making experience from cremating shade remains at the Shades of Morton, and award you with a Bone Crusher for passive prayer experience. And finally, the Hard and Elite Current diary will also grant you an item to train prayer passively called the Ash Sanctifier. But just like the Bone Crusher, we will see what it does in the next segment. When it comes to useful items, it's the same story as the recommended quests. Realistically, you don't need any of these, but their effects could add up for you to save a few million GP on your way to that shiny prayer cape. Let's begin with a relatively new set of items called the Zealot's Outfit. You get 4 pieces of this set by opening gold chests from the Shades of Morton minigame, and by wearing the whole outfit you have a whopping 5% chance to save bones or ensouled heads when using them for experience. By having the Bone Crusher in your inventory when slaying monsters that drop bones, they will be buried automatically, and you will gain half the experience relative to the bone with the Hard Mauritania diary, and the full experience with the Elite tier. The same goes for the Ash Sanctifier. By killing demons that drop ashes, the same thing will happen, and experience will also depend on what tier of the current diary you have completed. Charge it with Death Runes and the Bone Crusher with Ecto tokens. The Ectoplasmator can be obtained through Soul Wars, and it has a similar effect. If it's in your inventory and you kill a spectral creature, the item will grant 20% of the monster's HP in prayer experience. It may come in handy while doing Slayer. Finally, a Locator Orb is somewhat needed for one of the training methods to be slightly better. I will explain how it works in a few minutes, but if you go this route, you will need to have completed Dragon Slayer 2 for this item. The only plugin I can suggest for prayer training is Menu Entry Swapper. Go ahead and shift to left-click the bones in your inventory, and change the left-click option from Bury to Use. This way, you won't need to right-click every bone when using them at an altar, and it's going to save you a ridiculous amount of time. I will quickly mention 3 useful quests for some early game experience, but if you're an unrestricted account, training with some of the following methods will be much faster than this. By doing the quests Restless Ghost, Priest in Peril, and the Holy Grail, you will jump from levels 1 to 30. Holy Grail involves a little bit of combat, but experience gained from it is pretty juicy. Priest in Peril also grants access to Mauritania. The most popular way to train this skill is by offering bones to the Gilded Altar. If you don't have one, go to Remington in World 330 for a ton of houses with one of these. If you decide to make your own, or if you're an Ironman, you will also need 2 incense burners next to the altar and light them up with Marental for even more experience. On World 330 though, you won't have to worry about it. Grab as many noted bones as you want, and take a healthy amount of coins with you. You will find a small house south of the portal where you will see an NPC called Files. Use your noted bones on him and agree to note them for 5 coins per item. Once done, go to the little birdhouse looking structure next to the portal and choose any of the available houses. Go next to the altar, and if you're using Runelite, hold the Alt key and then left click your whole inventory for you to move it around like this. Position it next to the altar, and with Menu Entry Swapper enabled, you will be able to left click your bones in order to use them instead of burying them. This way, you will have to move your mouse much less in order to use their bones on the altar much faster, leading to higher experience per hour. Now, you don't have to do it this way, you can just use one bone on an altar and then let it do it automatically, but this is much faster. Once you have used up all of your bones, click on the portal to exit, use your noted bones on the files again, and repeat the process until your target goal. Since you can offer pretty much any type of bone, experience per hour will 100% depend on your budget. On screen you will see some of the most popular and the commonly used bones for you not to spend as much money, but these will give you the best bang for your buck. It is important to note that for some odd reason, superior dragon bones require level 70 prayer to use both at a Gilded Altar and the Chaos Altar. I have no idea why, but if you want to speedrun the skill at a hefty price, swap to these ones exclusively from 70 to 99 for up to 1.3 million experience per hour. For the rest, you are seeing rates on screen at all times. The next method is pretty similar, but we will now go to level 38 Wilderness to the Chaos Temple. This is where you will find the Chaos Altar, and if you offer bones here, it will work like any Gilded Altar, granting 3.5 times the experience per bone used. However, the cool part about it is that when using bones here, you have a whopping 50% chance of saving your bones per offering. This will dramatically lower the cost of training the skill, but the downside is that PKers can strike at any second. Because of this, you have two options. The first one is to bring a moderate amount of bones with a bit of GP, offer them to the Chaos Altar just like we did for the Gilded Altar, and when you run out of bones, use your noted item on the NPC outside for him to give you more bones to repeat the process. You will then take a locator orb in your inventory, and when you run out of bones, spam click it for you to reach 1 HP. And then simply click on the Wine of Zamorak in the temple to kill you. Respawn, and then resupply for another run. If you're feeling brave, you may instead take some gear to resist PKers in case they catch you training. Take items such as Black Dragon Hide, Din's Bulwark, and cheap magic resistance items that will let you avoid freezes. Don't forget your Royal Seed Pod to teleport you at level 30 Wilderness, and just pray that you don't get shafted and lose your bones. Experience per hour will be slightly higher because you can stay here for a little bit longer if you don't encounter any PKers. But even if you don't, the downtime between resupplying will cut down on experience gains by quite a bit. I'm not a huge fan of this method, but still great if you're on a budget. This next method is my favorite because this is what I did from levels 95 to 99, because I was starting to run low on cash. Thanks to the Archaeus spellbook, we can reanimate Ensouled Heads for both prayer and a little bit of combat experience. We have 4 tiers of the spell, each able to reanimate a variety of monsters. Pick one according to your magic level and your budget, the required runes to cast the spell, and go near the Dark Altar north of Archaeus. Once there, simply click on the spell followed by any of the heads in your inventory, and your character will reanimate the monster which the head belongs to. They have extremely low stats, so they will be disposed of pretty quickly. After killing it, you will gain prayer experience depending on what head you used, and you will do this until your target level. Keep in mind that any special attribute the living monster has will also apply to the reanimated monster. For example, reanimated aviancies can only be killed with ranged, reanimated dragons can cause severe burns because of dragon fire, and so on. On your screen you have been seeing some of the best Ensouled Heads to use for each tier, but again, this all depends on your budget and your magic level. The next method also makes use of the Archaeus spellbook, and this is pretty much the newest way to train the skill. You will be using the Archaeus spells called Sinister Offering and Demonic Offering. Respectively, you will be offering bones and ashes in your inventory in groups of 3. Put the required runes for each spell in your rune pouch, and simply spam click the spell until all of your items have been used up. We've covered this method before, mostly aimed towards magic training, but obviously prayer is where these spells shine. This is a lot less convoluted than some of the previous methods, and the only difference is that it offers slightly less experience per hour because of the delay after each cast of the spell. Just like all the previous methods, use whatever type of bones and ashes adapt to your budget, but on screen you are seeing some of the best ones for the job. The last method on this list is one that I found quite recently, and it is cremating shade remains at the Shades of Morton. For this, you will need pyre logs and the shade remains which are compatible with them. You are seeing the information on screen right now. If you're an unrestricted account, go to the Grand Exchange and buy a pair of golden logs, then go to Morton and talk to this NPC for a broken casket. Talk to him again to repair the casket and use the golden logs on it. This will let you store up to 28 shades remains in it. Go to a bank, store remains in your casket, and then grab 24 pyre logs, a tinderbox, and a Morton teleport scroll for you to get there faster. Go to this area and take out as many remains as you can use. Use the pyre logs on the stone bed, and then the shade remains. And then click on them for the final product to light up. This will grant you both prayer and fire making experience, as well as leaving either coins or a key on the stone pillar next to the bed. Grab all your items and bank to repeat the process. You may take your keys back near the NPC who fixed your casket, and then head through this door in order to land on the Morton crypts. Go through the door corresponding to the key you're holding, and then look for chests with locks equal to the color of your key. When you open the chests, you will get yourself some extra loot to sell to the GE. This is the only profitable way to train prayer, but keep in mind it can be extremely boring. And now I will mention 3 alternative methods. The first one is the Ectofunctus. Grab bones and pots, go north of Port Phasmatis, and then head upstairs to use your bones on this machine. Your character will automatically, or you can do it manually, to grind bones and turn them into bone meals. And then, when you've done this with all your bones, grab 14 meals and 14 buckets of slime, and then quickly spam the Ectofunctus for juicy prayer experience. I have this here because even though it gets more prayer experience per bone, the process is much more tedious and only recommended for your first few levels. As mentioned during the important levels, if you have your Bone Crusher, Ash Sanctifier, or your Ectoplasmator when you train Slayer, you will gain passive prayer experience without even realizing. Be aware that experience per hour will be insanely small, so not really a viable method all the way to 99. And finally, if you're poor, or even worse, if you're a masochist and if you play Ultimate Iron Man, another method can be getting prayer experience through pest control. By gaining points for you to playing this minigame, you can spend them at the shop to buy experience. You won't have to spend any money, but you will pay with something much more important, which is your sanity. So, definitely use this as an absolute last-ditched effort. Alright Scapers, and now for some options for you to achieve the amazing but expensive prayer cape. Today we will look at 2 fairly normal roads to 99, followed by a speedrun method, and finally the only way to make profit. So imagine we do questing from 1 to 30, after which I would offer Dragon Bones to a Gilded Altar from 30 all the way to 90, 92, or even 95, and then switch to Ensouled Heads for the last few levels. Remember to stick to heads for which you have the magic level to reanimate. To save as much money as possible, you will have to bite the bullets and offer Dragon Bones to the Chaos Altar, praying that you find no PKers while you get those gains. Even if you get PK'd every now and then, as long as you're not carrying too many bones, it will be all worth it in the end. If you don't care about money, you will offer Org Bones to either a Gilded or a Chaos Altar from levels 1 to 70, and then swap to Superior Dragon Bones until you reach level 99. As an alternative, Dagonoth Bones offer the second highest experience per bone, so it's always nice to use. And finally, for a really weird way to make money, you will stick to the Shades of Morton from levels 30 to 99, using the appropriate Pyre Logs and Shade Remains. Remember the chests inside the crypt also drop clue scrolls, so if you do them all, it's only going to add to your overall profit. Ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it for the prayer guide. Thank you so much for watching and for making it this far. If you did, make sure to tell me how you would get level 99 prayer or if you already have it. I want to give a massive and girthy thank you to all my channel members. You boys and girls are absolutely amazing, and your support goes a long way. If you want to be part of this list of legends, click the join button below, so you can subscribe monetarily and receive a ton of benefits both in the videos, in the live streams, and of course in the Discord. Stay tuned for the next video, and of course for the next 1 to 99 guide, where I will show you how to achieve mastery in the construction skill. Have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you then. Peace.